Today on the Charge Up, women's lacrosse tries to bounce back from a heartbreaking loss. Softball looks to stay in the playoff hunt. Baseball looks to get back on track, and we'll reveal our stars of the week. It's all going down on the Charge Up. Hello everyone, welcome to the Charge Up. I'm James Cassidy, and with me today is Devin Maida, Chris DiGeronimo, and Ethan Cardona. What's going on, everybody?
Happy Earth Day.
The regular season's wrapping up.
And playoffs are right around the corner.
Yes, they are. Let's get to the action. After a heartbreaking overtime loss to number 9 LIU Post, women's lacrosse bounced back with a thrilling 15-14 victory over Stonehill Saturday. Guys, what do we see from the Chargers?
I think something we saw was this is back-to-back one-goal games now, and I think the resiliency came through. You saw in the loss to LIU Post, they were down 20-16 with a minute and a half left, came all the way back, scored 4 goals in a minute and a half. To bring that to overtime, yes, you lost, but that's still a great thing. And then you come back right out, you play another close game. This time you're on the winning end. It really helps boost the resiliency going into the playoff hunt. You're going to play closer games in the playoffs.
It was great to see that even in that loss, they were up big early on, and then they gave up that lead, but then they fought their way back. So that's really what you want to see in that type of mindset from this team, especially going into the playoffs and any 10 tournament, is it's only going to get harder from here, especially with all those top teams within the top 20 in the country.
Yeah, one player that stood out, as always, every week we talk about her, Mackenzie Ray. She had 8 goals, 1 assist for a total of 9 points. And in the process, she broke the single-season program record for goals in a season. It was 74, but now she has 78 on the season. And she broke it with her 5th goal of the game that made it 10-6 in the game. So she helped them get the lead, and then they kept it for a while. They gave it up, but then in the end, it turned out great.
And I think another big factor that we can mention about Mackenzie in that game was late in that game against Stonehill, we had fallen down by a couple of goals, and it was Mackenzie that kind of stepped up and said, okay, this is my time, and she scored the last 3 goals for the Chargers to put them ahead and get them that win against Stonehill, who, even though they're not one of our ranked teams that we've played this year, is a really good any 10 team who's had a lot of close 1-goal games, wins and losses this season, and I think that game was a big hurdle for this team to get over and keep on the positive trajectory for the rest of the season going into the NE10 tournament.
I mean, it was great to see that from your superstar player, that she can spearhead the lead and everyone follows her from there on. I mean, we see the offense has been lights out, obviously. I mean, you have in the game against LIU Post, they had 5 players with at least 2 or more goals. I mean, we know what Mackenzie Ray can do, and this is really great that she can still drop 8 goals like it's nothing, but you still have the rest of the team contributing, whether it's assists, goals, ground balls, anything.
Yeah. Another note on Mackenzie, I know we talk about her all the time. She's breaking record after record. If she scores 5 goals in the next game, she'll move to 19th in the record books by the NCAA for goals in a single season. The most goals scored in women's lacrosse ever is 105. She's 22 away from that, or 27 away from that, excuse me. So I know 27 sounds like a lot for Mackenzie Ray. You honestly never know with that. Sure. And James, to your point about Stonehill not being ranked, it's a point to note that we really can't underestimate any team in this conference because so many teams in this conference are ranked. Those teams may not be ranked themselves, but you're playing a ton of ranked teams, tough opponents, and if you play them close, you may not be ranked, but you're definitely a team that's a threat to anyone that comes in there and says, oh, they're not ranked, we can go out there and beat them easily. It's never going to be an easy contest in this conference.
Yeah, another record that Mackenzie Ray is going to hopefully break this season is that she has 96 points so far this season, and the record for single-season points is 102. So if she gets 7 more points within the next 2 games, she can break that record also and hold that in school history and be a legend all time.
Yeah, and that's very doable for her. That's almost nothing.
It really is. Let's hope that they can continue that great form. Women's lacrosse will return to the field Wednesday when they take on Bentley at Kathy Zolad Stadium. First draw is set for 7 p.m.
Softball took 2 out of 3 from Lemoyne over the weekend, keeping them in contention for first place in the NE10 Southwest Division. Guys, what do we see from the team this weekend?
We saw another consistent performance from this team. These last couple of weeks, they've had some tough series against Adelphi and then Lemoyne, who are normally the powerhouses in our division for NE10 softball. And we've seen them step up against some good pitchers and some good hitting teams and really go toe-to-toe with these teams, both pitching-wise and hitting-wise.
Yeah, one player that stood out was freshman Maya Case. She went 4 for 11, 4 runs, 2 RBIs in the weekend series. So she really stepped up and has been stepping up lately over these past few games.
Yeah, definitely. We saw it come out. Another team that was resilient this weekend. In Game 3, it went 10 innings, and the Chargers got the lead in each one of those extra innings and gave it up. And we're like, you know what? We don't care. We're just going to come out the next inning. We're going to do it again because we're not leaving. That's a long drive if you lose that game in Syracuse. Day before Easter, you know, a lot of the girls were going to go home after. You want to go home with a win, and they just kept going. Every time they lost the lead, they got it right back, and they were able to win 11-9 on Saturday.
And what I really liked, what I saw from the Chargers this past week, was that the pitching struggled a little bit, but we saw the offense take the step over that and win them games, despite the struggling on the pitching front, which is really good to see from a good team, especially heading into playoff time, is that when one of your facets of your game is struggling, another facet takes control and compensates for that. And that's what a good team does, especially heading into this time.
Yeah, like you said, the pitching did struggle a little bit, but we did see a great performance from Maya Iodice in Game 2. She went 7 innings, 3 runs, 1 earned, and 3 Ks. Usually she has taken the bullpen role, but now she came in as a starter and really performed well. So just gives another option going down the road into the playoffs to use in the rotation.
Yeah, I think something interesting that I saw was the lineup card was interesting in one of those games. You know, the catchers are back. Giovanna Hillman, Sam Herrera, Cataponte are all back, and we still saw Maya Case come in as a catcher. I think it was to fill that spot in the lineup. You had, you know, Rachel Crafts, who's a solid hitter at the DP. She's been taking the time at third base when Taylor Lutzy moved over to short. So you saw those 3 hitters in the lineup, Giovanna, Rachel Crafts, and Maya Case come up, and it worked for the Chargers. And especially on Saturday, they got the runs they needed. It was a little weird to see them not score or produce too much on Friday in the doubleheader. It didn't look like they had too many hits. So it's interesting to see the way the lineup changes to get the better bats in the lineup going into playoff time. You're going to see that more and more as we're trying to play teams with solid pitchers. So you want to have your best hitters in the lineup. It's just, do you sacrifice fielding to save your batters? When you have solid pitching, sometimes you can do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I want to go into this matchup against Adelphi on Tuesday because this game, it's a must-win series for the Chargers because they're 12-1 in the division and we're 14-3 in the division. So this series could pretty much determine first place in the Southwest Division. So it's a must-win, and they have to come out swinging and get the lead early because Adelphi has some pretty good pitching. So if they could rough up the starting pitcher, it should be Allie Muller from Adelphi. And if they could rough her up, get to the bullpen, we should have a good chance at winning this series and hopefully getting first place for the playoffs.
Very true.
Yeah, it's definitely something. It's going to be tough for us. We're going in here with a disadvantage on the fact that this is our last 2 games in conference before we play Caldwell out of conference on Thursday. Adelphi still gets 4 games with Lemoyne to end the season, so they have the upper hand in games played in the conference, whereas we don't. So hopefully, like you said, it's a must-win game. We need to sweep this doubleheader. We split with them last week. We need to take 2.
Yep.
Exactly.
And they're coming into our house, and we have I believe, 14-1 record at home, and they're 10-14 on the road. So we have the advantage, like you said. So hopefully they could come out with the W.
Yeah, let's see if the Chargers can take that Southwest Division. Softball return home Tuesday as they take on Adelphi in a doubleheader. First pitch is set for 2 and 4 p.m.
Baseball extended their losing streak to 6 games as they dropped 2 games to Lemoyne Friday. Guys, how can the team break the streak?
They just got to clean everything up. I think that's just take a step back. Maybe Coach Solano can mix up the lineup a little bit, see if that changes anything up get the bats going, because we've seen the bats get going, but then they go quiet. It's a lot of inconsistencies from this team that are very fixable. I mean, we know their fielding has been a little rough this year, and that's just fundamentals and basics. That can be fixed, especially now late in the season. You should be able to clean up your fielding, and then hopefully from there that'll be like a domino effect, and it kind of fixes everything out. The bats get together, and the pitching staff gets together and strings a couple of victories together.
Yeah, I think consistency is the biggest thing for this team, because it's not like this team is doesn't have some great players, both pitching and hitting wise. It's just the inconsistency in all aspects of their games has really hurt this team this year. In a lot of games that they've been close in, or even some games that really have not been that close, it's always come back to the one big thing of being inconsistent in all aspects of their game. And honestly, with the level of players that they have and that they can put in that lineup, this team could, if they can just get a little bit more consistency rolling in all of these different aspects, this team could go on a run in the NE10. But you just need to see these changes and just more consistency throughout the lineup and in the field.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is you have to have patience with this team, because a lot of young players, I just say every week, it's young players getting accustomed to the college game. But just, I think the last time they were under 500 like they are now was 2016, when they were 17-20 overall and 10-12 in the conference. And that team is made up of all sophomores, such as David Palmer, Joe Keiko, that were just finding their way in this hard NE10 conference. And then that team went on to win the NE10 title the next year in 2017. So I think you just got to stay patient, keep calm, and I think everything's going to be all right once these players get the experience they need.
Yeah, I think the problem here, that it's unfortunate, they're almost like the Yankees, and like it's just every day someone else is getting hurt, and honestly, you just can't cope with it sometimes. Especially, it's not like you're losing role players, you're losing some of the best players on this team. PJ Contreras is out, Brandon Lamont is out. It's just injury after injury for them. The injury bug is definitely here, and you also have to account them for the resiliency. They've barely played at home this year. Every time, it seems like every time a game is scheduled, it gets rained out. They were supposed to play right now, and it got rained out to tomorrow. And it was moved to Monday because it got rained out for Saturday. So it's just consistently getting rained out and rained out and rained out. And they're just having to play most of their season on the road. So it's unfortunate. And honestly, I think that kind of plays into the mental game of this team.
Yeah, you definitely see, since they haven't been able to play almost as many games, a lot of guys that are struggling at the plate, you need more at bats, and it's hard when you're not allowed. You can't play because baseball's key is big on rhythm. Like, you got to get at bats. It's going to take some time. If you're just going to get in one at bat or two at bats every couple of games, you might never get a hit because you're not getting enough looks and just getting a good feel for the game and just getting swings in, because that's really all you need after a while. Yeah, and that's how you can get consistent.
Yeah, there's been multiple stints where this team's gone 4 or 5 days without playing a game. You know, that's not how the game of baseball is designed. Even in the major leagues, the only time you get 4 or 5 days off is the All-Star break. So it's just they're not getting, like you said, they're not getting the constant repetition of we're going to play today, we're going to be off tomorrow, we're going to play this weekend, we're going to play Monday, whenever it is, and they're just hoping it doesn't rain and that they can actually get a game in.
Yes, it's not going to come overnight. It's going to take time, and I'm sure going forward, they don't want to be like this ever again. So they're going to have that fire in their belly, promoting them to be better and to do better next season. So baseball will continue their series against Lemoyne Tuesday. First pitch is set for 3:30 p.m.
It's time for our 3 Stars of the Week segment. Guys, who shined brightest this week?
I'm going to go with another member of the women's lacrosse team. And no, it's not Mackenzie Ray. That's too easy. I mean, she definitely is a star and a superstar of this team. But I'm going to go with Julia Jetty, kind of an unsung hero on this team. She's the master facilitator of this team. Leads the team with 38 assists, which is also third in the NE10. And last week she dropped 2 goals, 5 assists, and then the next game she dropped another goal, 4 assists. So she really helps get the offense going for the Chargers, along with Mackenzie Ray. So don't forget about Julia Jetty, and that's my star of the week.
Nice.
My star of the week comes from the track and field team, who had 6 first-place finishes at the Mark Young Invitational at Yale this week. But the star is Michael Candelin. He broke 2 of his own school records. One came in the hammer throw with his toss of 60.58 meters to win the event, and then Mark was a NCAA provisional qualifying mark, and then he set the discus event with a 49.15 meter throw, breaking his record from last year. So he had a great weekend and overall record-breaking day for him.
Yeah, kid's got an arm, and so does my star of the week. Comes from softball. Shortstop and third baseman Taylor Lutzy. Struggled a bit last week in 21 at-bats, only 2 hits. She just exploded against Lemoyne this weekend, 7 for 12. 4 RBIs, 2 doubles. So her bat came alive. She was also great in the field. So that's my star of the week.
Nice. All great stars. Well, that's all we have for you this week on the Charge Up. For live game streaming, go to newhavenchargers.com, and for up-to-date campus news, visit chargerbulletin.com. I'm James.
I'm Devin.
I'm Chris.
I'm Ethan, and we'll see you next week on
The Charge Up.